Welcome back to episode 11 of G'day from the USA. I'm your host, Lady Amanda, and I thought it would be fun to have a chat about what it's really like for an Australian living and working in the USA. I'm here today with Kyla.
Hello. Happy day to y'all.
Oh, that sounded very American. She was born and raised in Oregon in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, and she's about as American as corn dogs. What the hell even is a corn dog?
Oh, it's a hot dog wrapped in cornbread and then shoved on a stick and deep fried.
Wow, it reminds me of the fair.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait
so
for
delicious. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't. Yeah.
It doesn't look very appetizing.
It doesn't, but then you bite into it and it's pure bliss in your mouth.
Never have. Never have, I've got to say.
Yeah, you probably never will. I've looked for ones that are just chicken, but I haven't found them yet.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared of what's in a hot dog. I feel like it's just
it's all the bits and
leftover.
pieces.
Yeah,
For
not my
sure.
thing. Can you believe episode 11?
No. Here I hoped it would peter out after one episode, and we're still here.
I mean, it did. It's literally just us.
Yeah. It's hanging on by a thread.
It is. Well, we actually did have some feedback last week. Thanks to Scott for coming down from Olympia on zero sleep. Everyone said he was a very smart and interesting bloke.
He is an interesting guy.
Yes.
He's very diverse in his interests.
Surprisingly diverse.
Yeah. Loves to do all kinds of things. Like, I honestly haven't seen anything that he's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not into that. Like, he's kind of, he'll try anything.
Seemed like a great chef. Shout out to Marina. Thank you for listening from Mexico. We do appreciate it.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Oh, no. She'll turn into an Italian.
Muchas gracias.
Yeah, just like that.
Tell me about your week. Have you had a good week?
Oh, man, yeah, I've had a great week. It's been pretty busy. We've had nothing but, has it been beautiful all week, right? I mean, Monday was maybe not.
Yeah, Sunday was horrendous because I had to work in torrential downpours.
Yeah, Sunday was gross. Monday it started to dry out. Tuesday.
Stunning.
And I was off. It was my day off this week, which was amazing. I got so much done outside.
She did.
It is springtime here, so that means it's time to refill our woodshed. A lot of people ask if I use a gas-powered wood splitter or
any kind of wood splitter.
A mechanical wood splitter of some kind. The answer is no. I split all my wood by hand with an axe. It's a Fiskars axe. It's great, and I love it. But we cut the trees off of our property here. They're alder trees. And
that is pretty amazing.
They burn really well.
Yeah, we have an unlimited supply.
Yeah.
And I'm not even kidding because
it grows fast.
We have a ton of alder trees and they repopulate every 6 years. So technically we have an unlimited, never-ending supply of wood. Which
is also problematic because in the areas that you clear and you want to stay cleared, they kind of try to come back.
They come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I'd cut 20 trees down last winter or spring, and they've just kind of been aging. I'd cut a bunch of them into rounds, and so now I've just been splitting them and getting them stacked in the woodshed, so that has been awesome.
Go Kyla. We've been trying to think of a name for our property for 5 years now. Still can't. We have contenders, but nothing has... Like all our other houses, we've had names.
Yep.
Like the manor, the bungalow. It's just come to us. Like the closest I can think of is the cabin, like cabin in the woods.
But it's really not a cabin, so to speak.
Se.
Yeah, it's not really a cabin. It's a house in a forest. It's not, I wouldn't classify it as a cabin. If anyone thinks of anything
ideas,
I have thought maybe Alderbrook or Alder Creek.
Yeah. I feel
because
like
we have a lot of alder trees and there's a creek nearby.
But I feel like it's a little subdivision.
Yeah, Amanda thinks it sounds
nearby.
Too subdivision.
No, there is one called that.
Oh.
Like I'm not even kidding.
Well, that's awkward.
Speaking of axes, we went axe throwing.
We did.
Now that was fun.
But they're not really axes. They're hatchets.
Oh,
much smaller than an axe.
Right, it was a hatchet throwing.
I did try to throw my axe inspired by our axe throwing, and it didn't go well.
No. We all got bullseyes. There was 5 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, all got bullseyes. And I, not to brag, but was the only one that got a bullseye underhanded. Is that the word?
No, actually I did as well.
I did not see that.
I'm sure you
Pics
didn't.
or it didn't happen.
Uh-huh.
The cool part about it, it was in an old firehouse from 1932. Yeah, they'd basically, 3 years ago, it was still...
Yeah, it was still a firehouse.
Yeah.
It's right down the street from where we used to live.
Old house.
Like literally right down. It's probably, I don't know, 10 blocks?
10-minute walk.
Yeah, 10 minute walk, 10 blocks. It's not far. And so we actually saw this firehouse in use. So they would, they bring the fire engines out and they test the lights and they, shine them up and get them ready to go and street worthy. And we saw it in use. And then to find out, I don't know, we've been out here 5 years.
Correct.
It has changed, which it would change for the better. It's nice in there.
Yeah, it was really cool. So we're pretty much going to make one ourselves because it was just a few planks of wood with a hand-drawn...
Yeah, a hand-drawn bullseye on it.
And like you said, throwing a hatchet. But it was a lot of fun. And there was
So
good food. They had these little tiny mini...
Donuts, fair donuts.
Fair donut. I don't know why they call them fair donuts.
I think they're mostly made at fair. They also make them at the Saturday market that we used to go to.
Ooh. Yeah, but I got the cinnamon ones and then I got... Well, you ate them all.
Well,
that's why I went
listen,
to actually
I gave you the opportunity and then you didn't take advantage. And so I figured you didn't want them.
Because I was throwing the axe.
Well, so was I. And I got very hungry. I worked up a tremendous appetite.
Yeah, literally we bought we were going to go halves in a sandwich. Was it like a panini or something? And she goes, do you want to bite? I said, in a minute, I'm just going to have my turn. And I was throwing the axe as I came back. The entire sandwich was gone. And I said, where'd it go? She's like, I ate it. I asked you if you wanted some. It was half mine.
I didn't hear you say in a minute.
And then she bought...
I just knew that like 5 minutes had gone by. It was getting cold. And I was very hungry.
Then there was the donuts. It was like 6 maybe. And I had a half of a one. And then it was my turn again. We were playing a game. That I won, by the way. Then I came back. The whole lot had gone. So she bought another lot. And thankfully I got about 2 of that. So thank you for sharing.
Those ones were gross.
And then I paid the bill.
I do well with this. Sometimes I like to leave the house without my wallet and we'll get somewhere.
Accidentally.
And I'll be like, oh my God, I left my wallet at home.
Yeah. And this is not just like McDonald's. It's Costco where the minimum you can spend is $300. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Each item you put in your cart or trolley, gotta sound so American.
You do.
Is at least $10. There's nothing under $10 in that store.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that, I think.
Minimum. Anyway, it was a fun week. I had a lot of fun doing that and I'm enjoying the weather. I've been very creative. I made a bird/squirrel feeder.
Yeah, that's a success.
Yes, I was told to get my squirrel block. I've been buying these wildlife blocks that has been attracting all the squirrels. And
they make the most horrendous mess on our porch.
Yeah, so I put it off the porch.
Seeds, cracked things, cracked this, everywhere. And I'm like, this needs to get off our porch. If we're going to feed the rats, I would rather they didn't come up on the porch to eat.
So I did. Anyway, I was inspired by the lovely weather. It was fun.
Yeah, it looks good. And then did you also mention that you put out the hummingbird feeders because one flew in your face today? Yeah.
You are cutting me at the knees because I was going to get to that. But okay. Can we talk about hummingbirds?
Yeah.
Skipping ahead a little. So, yes, I made some hummingbird nectar today. I was guilted into it. I went out to feed the squirrels and I had some avocado and sweet potato and I was putting it out and a hummingbird came right up to my face and hovered. And I was like, oh my God, I have nothing for you. So I literally turned around, went inside, Googled a recipe for nectar, which was 1 part white granulated sugar and 4 parts water, boiled it up, made my nectar, filled up 2 hummingbird feeders, took it out, and did not see the hummingbird again.
It's so funny because, I feel like if you're listening, and I say listening, not just with your ears, but with your eyes and seeing what you see and making observations, animals talk to you. Animals will tell you exactly what they want, and they will convey their point quite effectively.
This
Like
is
this
true.
little Hummer did, just buzzed her right in the face and is like, hey,
Yeah.
where's mine? Because everybody else is eating but me.
Yeah, and I put a big container of water out because it's been hot today.
Yeah.
I'm loving all the birds coming. What was the one you told me? A Stella's jay.
A Steller's jay, that's a blue bird with
It's quite big.
kind of a like a black mohawk
Helmet. Yeah.
Yeah, and their head is black and it goes up into a black mohawk. They're very pretty. Steller's jay, if you want to
Yes.
look it up. But yeah, I think animals are amazing.
Yeah.
I often just by paying attention to our animals, I notice many things that I wouldn't otherwise notice. It could be, deer out in the yard or
a bear.
Milo alerted us to a bear one time with a specific kind of bark. The horses will be looking at something and someone can be coming up the road, and it's really amazing. They let you know. You just have to kind of listen with everything that you have.
That is true. Speaking of up the road, last night a friend of mine, Paul, came around and he said, did you know there's this beautiful property at the top of the road? And I was like, of course.
Yeah.
We go up there every other day. It's stunning. It's basically a 360-degree view looking out over Vancouver, Portland,
Up
mountains.
the steepest road you've ever been on.
Yeah,
It
I
is
think it's illegal.
ridiculous.
Anyway, at the very top of this property, there's a gate that goes through to BLM. We've talked about this before,
Yeah.
basically the government land. the
BLM
council
or
land.
DNR land, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, we took his truck, aka a four-wheel drive, in through this. I don't think it's made for roads. It was very small, paths. But anyway, we went for a little explore, and the sun was setting. It was stunning.
Yeah, I've been up there quite a few times on the horse riding.
Magic.
And during the sunset times and stuff, and it is really just phenomenal.
Magic. Anyway, back to our topic of the day, hummingbirds. Did you know hummingbirds are native to the Americas?
I did not.
Yes, never saw one in Australia. They don't exist.
They're so little and delicate.
How would you describe a hummingbird? For someone that's never seen one.
They're a spark of energy. I mean, really, just like a spark. So, a hummingbird is small enough to easily fit in the palm of your hand.
Yes, they are the smallest mature birds, measuring 3 to 5 inches. The smallest is the bee hummingbird at 2 inches, which weighs less than 2 grams. That's 0.07 of an ounce or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, they're so delicate. And really, I'm looking at my thumb, and some of them aren't even as tall as my thumb.
That's true.
So if you think about that, and their wings flap at such a high rate of speed that they just look blurry.
How fast do they flap?
Well, I have no idea.
I do. 70 times per second in direct flight and more than 200 times per second while diving.
Wow.
I was geeking out today.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. And do you know why they're called hummingbirds?
Probably from the sound of their wings makes.
Yes. By the beating of the wings.
And you can hear them too. It's like, woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of like that. And then, but they're kind of quarrelsome little birds. They fight amongst each other like crazy. They're very territorial.
Yeah, they're actually antisocial. Mm-hmm. And they do the little high speed chases.
Oh they chase each other. They cuss each other out when their little bird chirps. I mean, yeah.
And the male and female hummingbirds do not form a pair bond after mating, and the female is left to care for the eggs and chicks alone.
I'm not surprised.
Did you know that?
But, it makes sense. I mean, their brain is probably very small.
Yeah, and they're really shiny metallic colors.
Man, some of them,
stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, question. How fast do you reckon they fly?
Like in miles per hour?
Yes.
Let's say 20.
Ooh, so close yet so far away. They've been clocked at flying close to 30 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
And 45 miles an hour when diving. The heart beats from 225 times per minute when at rest to more than 1,200 times per minute when flying.
Yeah, that is actually somebody that ends up being dead.
How would you even do CPR
If it was ever a person,
on that?
they'd be dead.
You couldn't even...
No, there's no way.
Wow.
Oh, man.
The hummingbirds are the only vertebrates capable of hovering, which is they stay in one place during flight.
Right.
And can fly backwards and upside down as well.
I believe it. I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
They're crazy. When they get mad at each other, they're crazy.
They really are. But although they're not antisocial, they're very like happy to be around humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like they will scavenge for food almost, like beg.
Yeah, they definitely will. And if you hold still enough, you can sometimes get them to land on your finger.
Yeah.
And that is
Never
it's
happened
like
to me,
they touch you and they're so light that they're almost not even there, but you see them, and so your brain can't reconcile that there's
Magic.
a bird sitting on your finger.
Yeah. And did you know that to conserve energy, they can basically go into a state similar to hibernation, but it's not hibernation because it's not long enough, and their metabolic rate slows to 1/15 of its normal rate.
Well, that's good because they require a lot of
Yeah.
sugar water just to keep going.
Basically,
and
their
nectar.
entire life is foraging for food.
Mm-hmm.
And because like city people have taken over, there's not as many like
Flowers.
wild plants. And,
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, true or false? Hummingbirds are the smallest dinosaur.
I mean, I'm going to say false.
It's true.
Well, I know birds are related to dinosaurs, but
So, since birds are the last surviving dinosaurs, the bee hummingbird is technically the smallest known dinosaur. The earliest known hummingbirds discovered as fossils in Germany lived 47 million years ago.
yeah, it's a little while ago, back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, if any of you doubt that a bird is a living dinosaur, watch chickens.
What's chickens?
You know what chickens are? Bark, 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 bark.
Oh, real chicken. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought it was a movie.
No. Oh my God.
I'm like, what is chickens movie?
These are the kind of conversations we have. And I mean, I'll say something like that and she'll be like, oh, what's that? I'm like, bark, bark, like a chicken. Anyway, they're they're crazy. They eat anything. If baby mice come scattering out from underneath whatever you move, they pounce and they eat them.
That's vicious.
They're dinosaurs. If you ever have any doubt, watch a flock of chickens.
Oh, that's a classic. Okay. A little segment called Tell Me the American Word. I'm going to say the Australian word,
Oh, okay.
and I want you to tell me what the American word would be.
Let's do this.
You may know some, but you may be a little confused. Okay, a dummy. The face says it all. Like,
A dummy.
Amanda.
Well, for us, a dummy is someone who's dumb. But for you guys,
That's not it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. No clue.
A pacifier.
Oh, I do remember hearing
Dummy.
that at some point.
Okay, this one may shock you, but it's not what you think. A rubber.
That's an eraser.
Yes, well
But in
done.
America, it's a condom.
Yes, it's definitely an eraser. Bum.
But
Nope. Well,
Bum?
it is, but yeah, but what's the American word? Like something so typically American that no Australian would ever say.
ass?
No.
Butt?
No. Come on, think of that Fran Fine in The Nanny. What did she fall on?
Derriere?
No. Did you ever watch that movie, The Nanny?
Yeah, I watched that. It wasn't a movie. It was a show. It was a
TV.
series, and I
TV.
watched a lot of it because I loved The Nanny.
The fanny. She fell on her fanny.
Oh yeah, Fanny. That's
That's
right.
a
You guys.
bum. Yeah, and then what's the one?
I would never call it. I don't really call it a fanny anymore. That's kind of an old.
I'm just saying
Word.
it's an American word. Okay, boot.
The trunk.
Yes, braces.
Obviously not the kind you smile with when
No.
your teeth are crooked.
Nope.
I mean, are Australians as well known as the English for having notoriously poor teeth?
No, we're not.
Let's see. What was it again?
Braces.
Braces. I mean, that's something you brace something with.
No. Suspenders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wear braces. Okay, fairy floss.
Oh, yeah, that's cotton candy.
Yes. Chemist.
The drug store or the
Yes,
drug.
that is so
The
weird.
drug shop.
It makes me like laugh when I see, well, I don't actually
Pharmacy.
laugh. Just no, when I see signs saying drug store or something, or drugs here, or
Mm-hmm.
drugs sold here, I'm like thinking illicit, illegal drugs. Like I don't think.
Well, I don't think
Chemist
there
drugs.
are any illicit illegal drugs anymore in Oregon, at least.
Yeah, you do
I think
find
they
it weird.
decriminalized all of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
research that. You do find it weird when I say I'm going to the chemist. Like that is what would you think of when I say I'm going to the chemist?
I don't know, a science supply store.
Yeah.
But, I find it also weird when you say you're going to the toilet. But the bad thing is that I now say this to people that I work with, and they're like, ugh. Like, we don't say that. We say bathroom, restroom.
Yes, they try to make it polite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cot.
A bed.
No, but that is weird that you guys call it a bed.
Yeah, you sleep on a cot.
Sometimes if you go to a hotel, they're like, if you need an extra bed in there, it's called a cot. And I think of, a cot to us is like a crib to you. So when it says, do you want a cot? I'm thinking they're bringing in
a baby.
Crib for a baby. Yes. Okay, drawing pin. I was wondering if you'd know what this is.
A drawing pin.
Drawing.
A drawing pin.
Correct.
Pin, P-I-N?
Yes. How else would you spell pin?
I don't know. I thought maybe you were saying pen, and it just sounded funny with
drawing
your accent.
pen. No, drawing pin.
I mean, you're already saying drawing, so I mean, it's
drawing.
A little bit odd. A drawing pin. It's something to draw out bugs, snakes.
Oh my gosh, that was a good guess. Not a thumbtack. Do you know what a thumbtack is?
Why is it a drawing pen?
Pin.
Why is it a drawing pin?
I don't know. It's just called a drawing pin.
That doesn't make any sense. What are you drawing out of anything?
Nothing. You're just putting it in the wall. I don't know.
Weird.
I didn't invent the words.
I'm just saying it doesn't make sense.
Dressing gown.
Your robe.
Yes. Correct. Okay.
Ooh, I would say I'm semi-fluent.
I would say that I was impressed. You got probably 10%. Nah, you got like maybe 30. Okay, truth or a lie? Tasmania has the cleanest air in the world.
Truth.
That is true. The island of Tasmania has air as clean as Antarctica. Around 1/3 of the state is a national park or World Heritage protected. And if anyone doesn't know, I was going to say Australia. If anyone doesn't know, Tasmania is basically the little island at the bottom right.
And it's shaped like a fanny, isn't it?
No.
I'm sorry. Or maybe a vagina.
Why does this always go down to some like feral level? Okay, Perth is the only city in the world which can have aircraft land in its CBD.
What's a CBD?
Central Business District, like the city.
Oh, how would I know about a central
No, I just figured everyone knew that.
business district? True.
It is true.
I mean, it just seems like some random thing that y'all would do.
Yeah, we all do. Okay, kangaroo meat can be purchased from the supermarket.
True. I saw it there.
It is true. It is cheaper, leaner, and healthier alternative to beef or lamb with a 1 to 2% fat content. There are over 100 different languages and dialects spoken in Australia.
I'll go with true.
It is true. There are actually over 300 languages and dialects spoken in Australia, including 45 Indigenous languages. In fact, 21% of Australians don't speak English at home. That goes to show how multicultural Australia is. Were you shocked when you went there, how multicultural it was?
No.
Oh. Well, that shut up that conversation.
Are you ever going to ask me a question that's actually false?
That was meant to be that one was meant to be false, but then I phrased it badly and I said over 100. And I was like, well, 300 is over 100, so it was meant to be like there are one. Whatever, I stuffed it up. That was meant to be false. To backtrack out of it. Okay. Finally, let me just rearrange this question. Aussies drink 1.7 billion litres of beer per year.
Oh, yeah. At least.
True?
True.
Yes, that's about 680 bottles of beer for each adult.
Can we just note that was another true answer? Anyway, okay. That's a lot. And I'm surprised, which is funny because if I were to base Australians off of only knowing you, I would say none of them drink.
Right, and my mum doesn't drink.
Yeah.
So basically,
yeah,
the two people. Yeah. I wonder who gets our 680 bottles of beer on the wall.
I'm sure someone.
Did you have that song as a kid?
Not 680.
Well, there was.
99.
Oh, was it?
99 bottles of beer on the wall. 99 bottles of beer. You take one down, you pass it around.
What?
There's 98 bottles of beer on the wall.
Okay, that was not ours.
That was ours.
Ours was like 99 bottles of beer on the wall. If one accidentally falls, there'll be 98 bottles. I need to research this, but it was
Why would
so
you let your
different.
beer fall? No. You take one down, pass it around, enjoy that shit.
There's another thing that's funny. What's that telephone game? We call it Chinese whispers, which sounds really racist,
it
but
does.
it's not, because we're very multicultural and accepting of all races. But yeah, they call it telephone here.
Yeah.
You know when you
telephone.
whisper.
Yeah, you take a story, you whisper it to one
Yes.
person, they whisper it to another person, they whisper it to another person, and at the end, you
It comes
decide
out.
you can see how the story can change by word of mouth.
Yeah, I could imagine if you were doing that, you'd just twist the words just for some fun of it. Like you'd
Probably.
hear it one way and be like, yeah, Amanda's a bitch. And then that would just go around the whole circle. Yeah.
And I'm sure by the time it got back around to you, Amanda's so amazing.
Well, that's how I'd say it out loud.
Oh,
anyway.
yeah. That's how you'd end up with it. Somebody tells you Amanda's a bitch and you'd be like, Amanda's so amazing.
I would take it as a positive
Of course you would.
because, you know, like being a bad bitch is actually a good thing. So I'd be like, oh, they said I'm a bad bitch. That must mean I'm like so good. Yeah, I would take anything positive. I can twist anything to be like a compliment to myself.
It's true.
Someone can say something horrendous. I'm like, that's so sweet. They thought of me. That's so crazy. Anyway, panic time, crunch time, panic. What do you want to call it? I've got less than 2
The
weeks
deadline is coming.
until my citizenship interview and civics test. Test me.
Oh, yeah. Baby.
I have not studied for probably
Let
a
me
week now.
see.
So
you guys, I
this
have
will-
all the cards in my hand.
flash cards.
Ooh, what
Hit me.
territory did the United States buy from France in 1803?
Louisiana.
Very good, the Louisiana Territory.
Thank you.
Now, these are the ones that I find the most like pedantic and annoying. Who is in charge of the executive branch?
The president.
That's true. What are 2 cabinet level positions?
This one's tricky, but I'm going to go
Oh,
with
God.
vice president and attorney general.
Yeah, those are the easiest ones. There's a whole bunch of secretaries of a whole bunch of different
I
things.
didn't need. Yeah, I just looked
And
for
then
the ones that I
vice
would stick in
president
my
and
head.
attorney general. Yeah. That one's dumb. Name one state that borders Canada.
Ooh, that's tricky considering we
If you
live
can't
in
get
it.
this one.
Washington State.
Very good. Oh. New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, North Dakota, Washington, New York, Minnesota, Michigan, Maine, Ohio, Montana, Alaska, Vermont, and Idaho. That's a lot of states on one
And
border.
you know what? I've been to every single one of them.
Yes, you have.
All 50.
What lovely person stayed home taking care of the family while you left for 3 months
That would be
to do a road trip to see more states? Oh, that's right. It was me.
Oh my God.
Oh, isn't your wife amazing?
Isn't there like a world's smallest violin that we can play? I wish I had a little sound effect for that.
Let's talk a minute about how amazing your wife is. Yeah, she doesn't even have a minute worth of things to say about me.
I've not written anything down. Give me time to think. I bought you a beautiful card.
You know what? Fuck
Let's
that
not go
card.
there. Okay, moving on.
All right. Oh, God.
Oh God, what?
What group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves?
That would be the Africans.
Yep. Ugh. Gross. Our history is so gross.
Hit me.
I'm trying. Hang on. I'm trying to find a good one.
Tick tock, tick.
I know.
You know, awkward silences
What
just
is
do
one?
not work.
I know on these. Name one U.S. territory.
Guam.
Excellent. You know, we have a friend who went to Guam.
We
and worked
did.
there. Jane. Jane, we miss you.
Not plain Jane. She
No.
sends us. She's probably the one person I know that continually sends handwritten postcards,
Snail mail.
snail mail. She
We love
sends
Random
t-shirts,
gifts.
like random gifts, like her own gifts, like T-shirts that she doesn't want anymore. Just random things. It's actually really nice to be thought of.
It is very nice. She messaged me the other day. I need to get back to her.
G'day, Jane.
Jane, if you're listening, we miss you. We love you. Come visit us.
So, will I pass?
I think you're going to pass.
Okay. Pass them back then.
No, I want to look at them and find the hardest one.
Word pronunciation. We haven't done this for a while, and someone asked for some few little specific words. So I'll show you it, and then you can read it first. Down the bottom of the page.
Word pronunciation. Word number 1 is margarine.
Margarine.
Okay, Irene. Tuna.
Tuna.
There's no CH. We've had this
Don't even
discussion.
get me into this, Kyla.
There are no CHs in tuna. It's a T. Tuna.
Wake me. Oh, I just crinked my neck.
And welcome to half a century. That's what happens. You move wrong and you wish you hadn't.
Chiropractor,
All right.
here we come.
Number 3 is taco.
Taco.
Okay, taco.
4
is apricot.
Apricot.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say apricot. Apricot.
No, I say apricot.
It's funny because I feel like you've Australianized and I've a little Americanized, so sometimes they blend.
You can't be married to someone for 9 years without having part of them wear off on you.
I thought you were going to say without trying to kill them, but yeah, exactly.
Well, there is the arsenic. I think you're building up a tolerance to
Remember that time when I said to you, you were at work and you'd made some, I can't remember what you made, a soup or something. And I said, oh, what's that weird taste in it? And then you replied, arsenic.
Just right away, just one word, arsenic.
That was funny. Good times.
I do like to tease you.
Good times in hospital recovering from that bout.
Next time you see her, if she's balding stuff, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't me. All right. Number 5 is pasta.
Pasta.
6 is filet.
Fillet. Fillet of fish. I do find it weird when they say a fillet of fish.
I feel like
Macca's.
it's French. It's like it's a filet of fish.
It's a fillet.
Filet. Okay. Tuna.
Tuna.
All right. Number 7 is leisure or leisure.
Yes, I was expecting you to say leisure. Mm-hmm. It's leisure.
8 is kilometer.
Kilometer. I thought you were going to say kilometer or something. Kilometer.
Oh, no.
What was that?
I know
Remember
it's
that
kilo.
teacher of yours?
Oh.
Centimeter.
Centimeters.
Kyle had to listen to these. She was studying her
my
radiology.
X-ray,
yeah, and they had the teacher recorded these.
Oh, God.
And she would just sit there listening to him.
On and on and on.
I mean, she was nice, but all I kept hearing was centimeters. I'm like, what is a centimeter? And she's like, centimeter. I'm like, that's the most annoying mispronunciation.
Way of saying it ever.
A centimeter.
Oh, does anyone else say centimeter? I've heard it a few times in the medical field, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. Hate it. Don't say it. It's centimeter.
Centimeter.
Thank you very much. All right. Number 9, docile or docile.
Docile.
Mm-hmm. And 10, New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah, sometimes I hear people at New Orleans, New Orleans. I don't know. I
don't know about that one.
I'm pretty sure I've always said New Orleans my entire life. So, Yeah, well, pretty much we said them pretty identical, so that was a bit of a fizzle.
Yeah.
Crash. I wish I had like better sound effects so I could do some of these things.
I'll take over that. I'll be your sound effects
you'll be
girl.
the sound effects.
Yeah, I'll just make them with my own voice.
Okay, do a like when you say something funny and it's like a drum, like and like a slam dunk thing.
Ching.
Yeah, I mean that was not it. Like boom, boom, ching. Oh, that's even worse.
Oh,
I need to stop speaking forever. So I have some bizarre news. I was reading this today and it was fascinating. It wasn't really, but it was just funny. A Sydney, Australia woman is trying to solve a mystery after hundreds of dollars worth of drinks, including Gatorade, Powerade, Coke, and Fanta, started showing up at her home. Laura Rafferty, a.k.a. Karis Marafs on TikTok said on the video sharing site that bottles started arriving via DoorDash on April 22nd and the deliveries continued for several days, totaling more than 150 bottles. She contacted DoorDash and was told she could keep the bottles, but the identity of the person who ordered the drinks remained a mystery. She said the phone number used to place the orders had been disconnected. Even more of a mystery. It is such a bizarre thing, and I'm still trying to find the answers, Rafferty told 9 News.
Okay, was there drugs in them?
She said she ended up donating several of the beverages to the North Bondi Surf Lifesaving Club.
Oh, well, I mean,
so
it's
if there's
good.
a lot of ODs.
If there are ODs, there's people there that can help save lives. Excellent.
Oh, I was picturing the people that working there would be ODing.
I mean, it's possible.
Way to take it down to like a negative path.
Well, I just think that it just seems a little sus. And really, I mean, you've heard the kind of shows I listen to fall asleep to.
She was found in a ditch.
Yep. And then the other line, which is never pleasant.
She had been sexually assaulted.
Yeah. That's the show. It's Forensic Files. I actually find it quite comforting to fall asleep to that.
I do too.
person.
I feel like it's the monotone voice.
Yeah.
And the other one I love is Case File, which is an Australian crime show. And the same thing. I think I find his
it's just
like
very
voice
like,
just very monotone, or
and then bam, done.
you're asleep.
Don't listen to it while you're driving.
No. What was that book? We actually listened to a book
listened
on
to two.
tape. What do you call that? Sounds so old
Audiobook
school.
is what it's
audio
called.
book.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, at first I found it hard to get into because it was audio. We're driving. I was looking at my phone. Like we're doing a lot of things at the same time.
Well,
But
one of us
eventually
was.
We got into it and we still had 4 hours left once we got home. Mm-hmm. And then Kyla refused. It was on her phone, refused to play it once we got home. I'm like, oh, can you put that on again? Refused. So she's like, no, only when we're driving. So finally we went to the axe throwing or something and I'm like, can you put it on? Anyway, we finally got to the end and it was, it was good.
It was good.
What was it even called?
Oh, man. I don't even
Something
remember.
like the Subliminal Lake or
No.
I'm just making
I mean, I
something
could look right now on my phone, I suppose.
But it was sort of cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it had a lot of twists.
Kind of twists that you didn't really expect.
Wouldn't have
and
probably chosen it were it not free because she'd used her free credit on Audible or whatever.
Yeah, Audible is what we've been listening
And she
on.
said, pick a free one. So the choices were bottom of the barrel.
Well, I think, you know what? I've read a lot. I've listened to a lot of audiobooks on Audible that have been free, and I've enjoyed them.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I actually really, I was thinking about it afterwards.
It was called Summit Lake.
Oh, that's what I said. I mean, I said Subliminal Lake, but
Yeah,
Summit Lake.
yeah. There's a big difference between subliminal and summit.
It's purely in the pronunciation. Okay, so I had a question from someone in Australia that wanted to know my first impressions of the USA. So it got me thinking about your first impressions of Australia.
First impressions of Australia. Well, I'd say the first impression was, when we were driving, all of the vegetation was very different, like wildly different from anything I've seen really in the U.S.
The trees are more rounded.
There's
they're
something
very pointed.
Yeah, there's something. I mean, everything from the
You
slightest.
knew you were not in Kansas anymore.
I knew I was not on a continent that I had visited before. And the wildlife, the birds, very, very different, very colorful, very gorgeous. Gorgeous birds.
And you didn't have to go anywhere to see them. They were like
they were just
the door.
right there. It was. You would expect to see birds like that, like in a rainforest. You have to hike miles in, but they were, in suburban areas.
Rainbow lorikeets?
Yeah.
They're lorikeets anyway,
Yeah.
but I think they're called rainbow.
Yeah, absolutely stunning. And then
And the cockadoos.
Mm-hmm. And then I think obviously the obvious thing is you're driving on the wrong side of the road.
Correct.
Which is super bizarre. Not only are you on the wrong side of the road, you're on the wrong side of the car, which is really
Can I
weird.
just interject for 2 seconds?
I know what you're going to say.
No, funny little story. You don't know because you weren't there.
Oh, well, I have a funny little story too.
Last night, my friend came over, Paul, and he was like, do you want to go up the road? So I went to get in the car and he goes, are you going to drive? And I said, no, you can drive. It's whatever. And he's like, you're getting in the car. And I was climbing in where the steering wheel was. And I'm like, I'm never going to get over this.
Okay. I did know what you were going to say because that is exactly the story I was going to tell, only with my car, where you still try to go to the driver's side thinking that you're going to be the passenger princess.
Yes. And then it's happened very embarrassingly. Like I've been at the supermarket or something and, a ton of people around as I'm getting into my car, and I'll get into the passenger side and sit there, and it'll be so embarrassing.
And you won't realize until you sat in the car.
Like I've sat there, and so I've like closed the door, sat down, and then I'm like, oh God, I'm in the wrong side.
Awkward.
And then to have to people are around in their cars, whatever, to have to get out the car and then walk around. Yeah. Clown.
Well, I mean, it's habitual.
Yes, it is. I mean, I guess of all the years, just yeah. Anyway, back to your
impressions. I think that the people are incredibly friendly in Australia. I feel like Australia is like what the U.S. was like when I was growing up as a kid, where there was more of a sense of community with your neighborhood and your neighbors.
What changed then? Like in terms of America, like why is it not like that now?
I don't know. I can't
really. Is it a
really...
difference between small town, big smoke?
I don't think so, because you guys were pretty much big smoke.
We weren't. Well, we were like 40
maybe
minutes
not
from
when
the
you were
city.
grown, but you were still. We were 4 hours
Our neighborhood
from a
had
city.
not changed from when we moved in when I was 2 years old. The street looked identical.
Yeah,
so people are still the same.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're more transient. Maybe, I don't know. Americans, I think we're losing something somewhere. We're becoming less sociable.
Remember the weirdest thing that you thought was that people would just rock up and be like, "Can you put the kettle on? Like I'm here for a cuppa."
I didn't think it was weird.
But you were like, "That's bizarre. They didn't call. Like they just show up."
Well,
at your door.
now it's bizarre. But like I said, back in the 80s when I was growing up, that was very common.
Right.
You didn't call beforehand. If you were in that side of town or over in that area, you swung by and said hi, and if they were home, you came in, you had something to drink. I mean, I remember my grandma putting on a fresh pot of coffee for whoever showed up to visit. And then they would sit at the table and in the kitchen and drink their coffee and talk. And yeah. So that was kind of refreshing to see. Yeah, I don't know what else really struck me. I mean, the beaches, I've seen beaches everywhere. The beaches were, I mean, I've been to Southern California, I've been to the Gulf of Mexico and Florida and those kinds of beaches. Like that's kind of the beaches that you guys have. So
what about like the supermarkets, the cost of things? The one thing that you found fascinating was the healthcare. How I would just rock up
amazing
to the doctor and be like, "Can I see the doctor?"
Doctors in your shopping centers that have available appointments same day that you can just rock up and be like,
straight away,
"I need to see a physician," and then in you go and you get the lab and to get your tests and you leave and you don't pay a dime. It's so weird. I mean, amazing. I'm so super jealous. Honestly, it was one of the things that really convinced me that every American deserves to have some level of basic health care.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. We have people that go bankrupt and lose their homes because they get cancer. That should not be happening ever.
Yeah. This actually was, I had a conversation with one of my staff members today, and she was saying, well, she's a contractor, so she's not actually employed, so she doesn't have health insurance. And she hurt her back really badly, and so she went to the doctor, and they said, you're going to need an x-ray and I can't remember, something else. And they said it won't be covered by your
whatever plan
insurance, whatever plan you're on. And so she chose not to get it. She's like, I can't afford like that $1,000 or whatever. So she didn't get it. But yet she's been in absolute agony for 7 weeks, still working because she relies on the money. She can't not work or else she gets no income. She's supporting her entire family.
And that
is sad.
The agonizing decision, literally and figuratively, that every American has to make. And some of us, even if you do have health insurance, sometimes your health insurance doesn't cover much. Like, for example, I got a mammogram recently. I found a lump, and I called and said, listen, I found a lump. I think I need to have a mammogram. And they said, fine. They brought me in, got me the mammogram. And under my insurance plan, I'm supposed to have a free mammogram every year that's covered as part of preventative care. Mm-hmm. Well, because I went in for a lump, it became not a screening mammogram. It became a diagnostic mammogram. And I ended up having to pay $900 out of pocket. That is with insurance.
That's insane.
And all because I went in not for a screening, but for a diagnostic mammogram because I'd actually found a lump.
So had you have not said that and just said, can I book
I need to have a screening.
You would have paid zero.
So,
That's
you know,
so wrong.
this is the problem with American healthcare. So for me, seeing Amanda go in and get seen by a doctor rapidly, you know, it was very efficacious. It was effective.
And I went multiple times because
multiple times.
I hadn't been to the doctor in America and I'd gone back home.
And she was feeling
after
pretty
like 7
tired
years
and run down.
I was like, let me just get every single test known to mankind done so that I can, when I
make
come
sure
back,
everything's good because she didn't have health care here. And
exactly.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, it's really a shame that we, being the supposed richest country in the world, will not even deign to provide the least among us who have the least with basic health care.
Yeah.
And to me, healthcare also includes dental care. I work with people that have heart issues and things like that. And people fail to realize how massively important it is to take care of your mouth and your teeth so that inflammation in your gums doesn't get passed down to your heart. And,
interesting.
You know, and this is a big thing that doesn't happen in American healthcare. They separate out dentistry. They separate out your eyesight. So you have to have a separate insurance for dental. You have to have a separate insurance for eyesight and then a separate insurance for healthcare. But they're all one and the same, in my opinion. Yes.
In Australia, I don't think we have dental. I mean, you can probably buy it, but dental is not covered. Like, that's out of pocket for us.
Straight up out of pocket all the time.
Yes, but vision and medical, yes,
are together.
I was just going to bring up the time that you rescued the baby. God, I can't think
the
of
raccoon.
The raccoon, and had to get what do you call them? The
rabies shots.
Rabies shots, and it was $10,000, and Kyla's insurance paid, was it $8,000 and you were $2,000 out of pocket?
Because I had to meet my deductible to do that. So the good deed of rescuing a baby raccoon that had been hit by a car. Let me just tell you, they're the cutest things ever, and I would totally do it again.
Yes, and she was so insulted that when she got home, she's like, look, I found these two baby raccoons on the side of the road. I think they've been hit by a car. One was injured. And I said, oh, let me get some gloves on. And she's like, oh, that is so insulting.
It's a baby, Amanda.
Oh, my God, do you even care about animals? It's a baby. And I said, I thought they had rabies or whatever. She's like, oh, my God, it's so dramatic. And so anyway, I did put gloves on. And she had been scratched by this little, nothing malicious, just like it made a scratch.
I got scratched, and then I'm having to try and feed it. And some of its saliva got on my scratches.
And then she researches and she's like, shit, Amanda's right. These things do carry rabies.
At one time.
And so she called the doctor and they're like, yeah, come straight away. And I think you were like human pincushion.
I was. You have to go in and they'd look at the site that you may have gotten injured. And so I showed them. And then they give you a shot of immunoglobulin, which is the expensive stuff, right at the site. And then you get stabbed with a needle in your left leg, your right leg, your left arm, your right arm, and that's considered day 0. Then on day 3, you go get another booster shot. On day 5, you get another one. Day 7, another one, and then day 10.
That was crazy.
So overall, I mean, it was my $10,000 raccoon.
Yeah, rescue.
She was
doing
so
a good day, as we all say.
And I happened to be on vacation. I'd just gone to town to get some groceries. I was headed back, and I'm like, what was that in the middle of the road? And it was this baby raccoon that was kind of like circling, kind of in the middle of the road, trying to get a drink out of the puddle. And then I saw another one in my rear view, like on the side of the road. So I turned around, parked the car,
I
went
mean,
back.
I would have done the same. Don't get me wrong,
grabbed
but
the
I
little
probably would
sucker.
have put gloves or a blanket or something.
Yeah, well, I don't always have all that with me, and I just
Yeah. And then was it during COVID? I feel like it was, everything was closed down. So then we had to drive to the Canadian border to drop this one at a rehab place because no one in Vancouver or Portland
it was
would
like
take
what was
it.
it like 15 miles from the Canada border or something?
Yeah, it was right up at the Canadian
there.
border. So it was, and we did it in one day. We literally drove right up and right back, and it was like about a 10.
Yeah, because I think you had to
12-hour day.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
For this bloody raccoon, but it was cute.
she was.
What did we name it? Jane Bond?
Yeah, Jane Bond, 007.
Jane Bond. I do win the award for the most human pincushion.
Yeah, you do.
Remember when I was applying for my green
card,
I had to provide proof of vaccination since birth, pretty much. And obviously I couldn't. Like my doctor in Australia still hand wrote everything on a card.
Yep,
You know,
and that
there
was
was
lost to the ages.
There was no way I was ever getting like anything. I couldn't even tell you what doctors I've been to. I normally just go to any
no, there was no way.
any shopping center. I'm like, oh, let me go to this one today. Like I have no loyalty. So there was no chance of getting this, and I pretty much had to have every single immunization.
It's true.
On record, and I was human pincushion, like both arms.
I remember, and we lived in the apartment then, the
Yes.
basement apartment, and you came home and you're like, I just don't feel good.
Yeah, and the
I
next
really
day,
run down, and so she
I
was like
just
wrapped in a
wreck.
blanket,
Yeah.
had chills, so she must have had a little fever. She was freezing, couldn't get warm. Oh yeah, it
Yes,
was
human pincushion
human pincushion award.
Yeah,
Remember
Good
when I came
times.
home with that possum? That was this year.
possum.
Yeah, remember? It went possum, it played possum, or it was in the middle of Risto
Yes,
Road.
I do remember now. And then we put it up in the barn.
Mm-hmm. And then I
it
realized
disappeared.
later that possums carry this bad equine bacteria that can like kill your horses. So I was like, oh, that was probably not the best idea. But
everyone says
We think
possums
it lived.
are really great for like,
they eat ticks. They
Yes.
eat lots of ticks, lots of bugs. Yeah, I mean they're not as cute as Australian possums. I did see an
Oh.
Australian possum in person, and it was the cutest thing
it's
ever.
like a giant squirrel.
The
I mean, obviously
Australian
not,
possums.
but the Australian possum is more
Ours
like
are
cuddly
not.
like
They're
that.
kind of ugly. They're really ugly. They're like a big rat, really.
but
But
they're still sweet.
yeah,
I
and-
actually like them.
And I mean, we really hoped that this little guy would pull through. I think he did. I think he went somewhere and
Yeah.
lived. But yeah, he had a little bit of an injury.
He
But
did.
He stayed played possum in the back of my car the whole way home as
Oh.
I was doing Mach 10 on the road trying to get
Look at
home
us
with it.
trying to just sound like heroes rescuing all these things. Well, pretty much most of our animals are rescued.
Yeah, they are rescues, but we do, I mean, living out in the country, I
You're
think
right,
you
we
have
are heroes.
more.
There's that hero word just being thrown
Oh my
around.
God, she's embarrassing me. I'm just saying, we live in the country. We have more
We have an
opportunities
opportunity.
to interact with wildlife
Yes.
than most people living in a city.
This is true.
And we
Still waiting
care,
for my
so
bear.
we stop.
We do. I always would. What is your plans for this week? I'm doing something completely like that I would not have expected a few months ago to be doing on Saturday. I'm going to volunteer at a podcasting conference in
Yeah.
Portland. So if you are around, I
Me?
think you can buy. No, not you, just
Oh,
anyone.
good. I have
Like
plans.
our listener, if you are around, that's really nasty. If you are around, stop in. It's in Portland, and yeah, you can buy tickets at the door. But it should be interesting. Lots of speakers. I'm fascinated to learn something, but I'll primarily, oh God, that was a muddle of word. Primarily be helping and volunteering. So yeah, looking forward
good
to it.
on you. Well done, honey.
Yeah. Anything else exciting
No,
to mention?
I need to get the materials together to build my cold plunge insulation, like a little wooden cage for my cold plunge tank that I'm going to put together. And I need to get some, aren't they called footers that we're going to put the base for the sauna on top of?
Yeah, not quite sure, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like a little,
Like the little cement things
yeah,
from Home Depot.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I've got to make sure that I'm getting the right ones from Amanda and,
Yes.
yeah, get the insulation for my cold plunge tank.
Yep.
Because the water now is like 70 degrees in the pool, and that's really not. You're supposed to be 50
Still
degrees or below for cold plunging.
And I have plans to build
A sauna for me.
yes, besides that,
A lean-to off the barn.
oh my
for
gosh,
me.
seriously. You know the
Ooh.
garbage
A
cans?
wood storage shed for the sauna.
No, forget it. Just forget it, everyone. You know the garbage cans? I want to build like a trash can enclosure because I cannot stand the look of trash cans just sitting.
Yeah,
There's
it's
nowhere
feral.
in our property that they can be hidden. It's either
They're out for all the world to see.
yeah, every like facing wall that you can put them on is visible from some angle, and I don't like it. So I'm going to build a little enclosure. I've been researching
After she builds the sauna, the lean-to,
Sauna you don't need for
and
summer.
the wood shed for me.
Anyway,
So, everybody that thinks that, gay and lesbian relationships are not like heterosexual relationships, you're so wrong.
wow,
I still have a honeydew list.
honeydew.
Oh, no.
Okay. Any questions or feedback, please reach out to our Facebook page. Leave us a voicemail. Links in the show notes. As we always say,
If it's not 5 stars, don't bother.
well, I should have said rate and review us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
No, this is just a
I mean, I
muddle.
missed it.
Yeah.
Thanks
Been
for
a great week.
participating in the shit show this week, everyone. We appreciate your
It's just
listening
been one
ears.
of those weeks. Like I've been so busy with work and just
Ugh.
haven't had a free second. So this is how my mind is working at the moment.
Oh, mine
You
is
got
on 1,000 too.
The worst of me.
It's spring. Everything comes alive
Spring
in spring,
is
and
sprung.
you start doing things and having projects and needing to get going. And life just swoops
Swings
you.
by. Okay. Till next week.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.